2 dates for tonight, you lucky people. Alan, you just really made me laugh, so you just did, in response to the next conversation that I want to have with you about schools. Students at a school in Stoke-on-Trent apparently walked out in protest after the toilets were barred. And when I say barred, everyone, I literally mean bars across them. During lesson times, one parent has compared it to a prison and said pupils are being treated like animals. I mean, give me a break. Emma, where do you stand?
I think if you need to wee, you can't really think of much else as your bladder fills and expands and you get more and more uncomfortable. You are not in the best state for learning. If, on the other hand, you are that kid who takes the urine and has 10 minutes out of each class every day, then there should be a way of stopping that. There's got to be a more sensible way of managing this than bars on the loos, you would think. You don't want kids getting urinary tract infections because they're trying to hold it in. A whole group of girls with cystitis is not a group of girls that's going to learn anything.
I know, but come on, if you know that you're about to go into a lesson, so you have to sit in your lesson for, I don't know, an hour or whatever your lesson is, who cares? You know, if you're a sensible individual intent on learning as opposed to just messing around, you're probably not going to drink a 2-litre bottle of Coca-Cola as you walk into that classroom. And if you do, you're a bit of an idiot, really.
But even if you're not going, you should be drinking water and keeping reasonably hydrated throughout the day. That's just good health advice. But also, that 15-minute break, anyone who's been to the kind of school I went to knows that the girls lose to that 15 minutes break is it would make the South Bronx look like a decent, civilised, respectable place to be. And if you are being bullied or are nervous or shy, it is simply the most horrific and terrifying place in the world. So actually waiting 5 minutes and going quietly during class and then coming back can be really important for some kids. And that's probably true of boys as well. I don't know what it's like in the boys' loos. I've never been in the boys' loos, thank God. But I can't... girls hang out in the loos. That's sort of a classic trope, isn't it? And they can be really quite a vicious place to be. So I think it's really just be sensible. Find balance and be sensible on this.
Toby, I've got to say, right, when I hear, oh, yeah, these kids, they've walked out in protest, the parents are outraged, they're calling it a prison, I think, oh, get over yourselves. Like, surely you want your kids to pack it in and behave and sit in your classroom and focus. You know a lot more about education and schools than probably us two put together. You used to run a free school, didn't you? What do you make to it all?
Well, I ran a multi-academy trust which had 4 free schools sitting within it and helped co-found those schools. Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty firm behaviour management system in place. I wouldn't describe it as zero tolerance of bad behaviour, but pretty close to it, and that included disrupting lessons, and for the most part, lessons are held in silence unless the teacher asks one of the children to participate. I'm in favour of this policy. I think it's sensible. Of course, there will be costs, but I think the benefits will outweigh those costs. Any teacher can tell you that if the school policy is to allow the children to go to the toilet when they put their hands up, whenever they put their hands up, children will take advantage of that policy. Of course they will. That's just their nature. And you'll constantly be interrupted in the course of teaching a lesson by children putting their hands up, wanting to go toilet, miss, or go toilet, sir. So I think it's a sensible policy. And as you say, it's not very difficult for children to be able to manage so they don't drink too much beforehand, or they make sure they go to the toilet before the lesson or during break. I don't think there'll be so many emergencies that the costs will be that high.
Alan's comment made me laugh just as I came back from my break, because Alan was saying that if he was in one of these classes and he needed to go to the toilet, he would just basically pull his pants down and do his business there in the classroom. And it made me chuckle, but obviously I don't condone that kind of behaviour. These people, by the way, Emma, these kids that you say, oh, yeah, you know, you might get a UTI or cystitis, I bet my bottom dollar they could control their urges to go to the toilet if they were sat in a cinema watching a movie.
Not these days. Have you seen how long films are? I'm terrified of this one I'm seeing tonight.
I will pick you up at one point, Emma. You said that it's very difficult to focus, to concentrate if you want to pee. It's all you can think about. Actually, I remember when I first went on Question Time, someone passed on a nugget of advice they'd been given, curiously enough, by Enoch Powell. He said that whenever he goes on to Question Time, he makes sure he doesn't pee beforehand, because wanting to pee when you're on telly makes you a bit sharper, a bit quicker.
Gives you an edge.
You're less likely to kind of get
really, all I think about is how my eyes are starting to feel like a cartoon.
Mike says, Michelle, are we really sitting here discussing people going to toilet? Is there nothing else better to discuss? Yes, we are talking about it, and I'll tell you for why, Mike, because I personally worry that we are breeding a generation, of absolute wet lettuces, of kids who are so
if they haven't been to the loo.
Entitled. No, but they're so self-entitled, going out on these protests because they can't pick and choose how much time they can mess around during classrooms in the toilet, parents getting involved, calling them prisons. I think it's pathetic, actually. So I think the conversation about how tough should schools be is a very important one for anyone who's got kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, which is pretty much all of us, quite frankly. Another thing I would do as well is ban phones from the classrooms. I would take those telephones off the kids, which, by the way, I don't think half these kids should have smartphones in the first place, but that's a different topic. And I'd take those phones off them, and they won't get them back until the end of the school day. That's fair enough, isn't it, Toby?
Absolutely.
You'd have my support on that one. Most of the time, it is about being sensible, and a phone in a classroom's not sensible.
But why do all these parents give all these really young kids smartphones?
I mean, I always go back to my niece and nephew. I think we talked about my nephew last time we were on together. I think they've had them from mid-teens, but very much with a strict, you don't use it in school policy, and their school enforces that, and they are pretty rigid. As I understand it, because all their friends are in the same classes or the same school years, there's not a load of WhatsApps that are flying around because they're all not using them.
This came up at our multi-academy trust, so a lot of the staff wanted to just ban phones outright, and the pushback from parents was, if my child is walking to and from school, I want to be able to call them. I want them to be able to call me if they get into any kind of difficulty. So we thought, OK, fine. They can bring them to school, but if they're seen using them during the school day, they get confiscated for a week. And that policy seems to have worked.
I go
put them in a box.
Quite a lot of immersive theatre, and they're very, very strict about phones there because you can't photograph anything. And you have to put it into this sort of pouch thing that's locked.
Yes.
And that sort of thing is a perfectly acceptable way of just you go in the classroom, you put your phone in a pouch. It seems fairly sensible to me.
I can safely say that not many of you guys at home are having any of this. Eileen says, no, I do not think toilets should be locked. Some kids might have irritable bowel or might be sick. Yes, but if you've got a medical issue, you are actually allowed to use the toilet. But
you can't get in.
Well, you ask your teacher, don't you? At the start of your lesson, you have a word, or your teacher would know you've got an ailment or whatever, and you would just be sensible about it. What they're trying to do is stop people being idiotic and spending their time disrupting the lessons by being an up and down like a yo-yo. Karen says, I think this is barbaric. If you had a bladder issue, would you want to go hunting for a key to the toilet? Please, can you stop being so insensitive? Barbaric, Karen. Saying that you can only use the toilet in the break. I mean, come on now. If you were saying that children could never go to the toilet ever and literally had to wet their own pants, then I might be with you there. But restricting it to breaks, of which the timing is clear to everyone involved, I don't really think that's barbaric, but we can agree to disagree. Tony says, I work in a school and our toilets get trashed constantly. So, yes, it's a great idea putting bars on them during lesson times. David, you're a smart man, you say discipline is the problem. We should not allow mobile phones in any classroom.